So, hello everyone. This is John Barton from JB Cases. So, every once in a while I come across a post, that irritates me a little bit. So, I want to preface this by saying that everybody has their own opinion, and everyone is obviously entitled to express that opinion. And everyone doesn't have to agree with that opinion. But there's sometimes when people express their opinion about comparing cases, I can get a little bit irritated and I can get a little bit defensive. And the reason why I can do that is because, why I can, it sounds like I'm privileged to do that. Sorry. I mean, the reason why that I get that way is because I feel like sometimes people make a statement that isn't really fair to us. While I realize that's their opinion, I know how that's just how they feel about it. But I think that some things, when it comes to hard goods like pool cue cases, there's objective comparisons, of performance, and then there's subjective comparisons of beauty and look and feel. And I think it's important that when someone makes a comparison, that they really do go a little bit deeper than just making simply a blanket statement. So here's a post that I was tagged in. Q and cases for sale. I'm not a member of this group. I now applied for it. I didn't even know about this group. But anyway, someone tagged me in it. And this young lady here says she showed a picture and she's won a pool tournament. The Montana Open State Pool Championship. She got second place, which is a respectable finish. Very good. It's awesome. And the trophy is cool too. See the plaque? It's like, I think, a laser engraved metal. Looks pretty awesome. So, oh, by the way, if you end up watching this, Allie, I would suggest maybe looking at framing that with a piece of pool cloth behind it so the letters come through in blue or green or whatever the color of the cloth was that you used. That's just what comes to my mind as a designer, as something that might be cool. So something you might want to look at. But anyway, she says, I'm in search of someone that can make a custom 2x2 pool cue case. By the way, people, I'm not driving. I pulled over to do this video. So please let me know if anyone has anyone that does this sort of thing. Well, Allie, you're very lucky because there are lots of good custom case makers out there now. A lot more than we've had in the past. So that's depending on whatever your budget is, there's someone there for you that can do custom work in the size of case that you want. Now, I'm going to start out with saying that we can make a 2x2, of course, but in our 2x2, we have engineered it so that it actually fits 2 butts and 3 shafts. So you're getting more inside the same space that other people would give you a 2x2, and their 2x2 would actually even be larger than ours. And ours is just that efficient, so we protect your cues with great padding, and you're able to actually get 2 butts and 3 shafts, which that configuration is actually pretty good because you can have a cue with 1 butt and a playing shaft, 1 butt and 1 breaking cue with a breaking shaft. And then you can also have a shaft for a jump cue, and then you can put the jump cue handle inside the dedicated padded sleeve that comes in our bottom pocket standard, unless you decide not to have that. You can, which brings me to the next point, which is custom. We have, I believe, the broadest amount of custom options of any case maker out there. Not only do we have do we offer the most models, but we also offer the most different configurations of those models. So, it's, without exaggerating, we have literally billions of construction options, combinations that can be put together. And we have billions of color combinations and decoration combinations that can be put together throughout our models. So, we have butterflies, we have envelopes, we have tube cases, we have padded sleeve interiors that can be reconfigured and made to be whatever you need it to be in all the sizes that we have. So we have basically I'm saying is we have hard cases, we have semi-hard cases in the butterflies, we have soft cases in the envelopes, um, and we just have a wide range of what we do. So, in that category by itself, you've already got more choice than most of our competitors. But then on top of that, once you start figuring out a model that you want, you've got choices of pockets to be configured any way you want them to be. We've got accessories that go in the pockets to make organizing your stuff easier, that can be put in just about any case that we make. We do nylon, we do polyester, we do other types of fabrics, we do tweeds, we do upholstery grade fabrics, we do leather, all kinds of leather. About the only thing that we don't do in leather is we don't do like the super exotics, like the real crocodile, real elephant. We do excellent prints with that. So we have cowhide, and we search the suppliers that can give us like very, very realistic leather prints. This is basically cowhide, which is the most common leather, and it's embossed and treated and stamped in such a way that the leather feels like it came from the real animal, say an elephant or a shark or whatever. So all that is available to us, and we just find that to be a much easier way to go about it. It's just there's no regulations anywhere against that, so it's easier for us to move cases around the world. When we're talking about using animal skins, we don't want to get in trouble. But there are a few case makers out there that use those real things, and they do excellent jobs of them. That really increases the price quite a bit. I don't think it increases the durability at all. It doesn't make the case any better except aesthetically. And some of them are very, very nice. So, if exotic leather is what you want, outside of, say, ostrich, which we're able to get fairly easily, the other stuff is not going to be in our wheelhouse. So that'll be about the only thing where if you're dead set on getting genuine alligator, or dead set on genuine shark, or genuine elephant, or genuine swan skin, we won't be able to help you there really, because that's not a thing that's easy for us to obtain. But we have such a wide range otherwise that none of our customers complain about this stuff. So we really do a good job. We also can get snake skin, we can get python, stuff like that, but we've got excellent prints in that as well. I just made a set that is we just made a set that's just fantastic. Okay, but anyway, let's get back to the point here of irritation. Okay, so I've been fighting an uphill battle all of my case making career since 1991, of other case makers being placed above us, so to speak. Now, normally, I want to say that I don't, or I shouldn't care about this. And we have plenty of customers. We have orders. We have a 12 to 14 week backlog right now. Actually, it's 12 to 16 weeks, depending on the type of case. We get orders every day. I don't have to even make this video to get business. That's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video because I want the record to be straight. I want to answer people's opinions. So you're allowed to express your opinion about whatever you want. You can say a JB case sucks, but I'm allowed to answer that opinion, and I'm not saying that you're necessarily wrong in your opinion. I just think that sometimes there needs to be clarification in the comparison so we can put the opinion in context. Okay? So with that in mind, Allie is looking for a 2x2 custom pool cue case, right? She maybe she wants to reward herself. I see a $250 prize there. So maybe to me, at first thing that springs to mind is maybe she's like, I'm going to take this $250 and put it right towards a custom case, right? So I can commemorate this event or something. That's the kind of thing that I would do. I do that a lot. To whenever I get a nice little windfall or I make a win or something, I try to go buy myself something nice. And then every time I use that thing, then it reminds me of that victory that I had, so it's just kind of my little thing. Um, but anyway, let's continue here. So real quick, let me get rid of this since I'm not recording on that. Okay. So let's go through the thread real quick, and I just want to show you. You'll see real quick where I get upset, okay? So she says, I'm searching of a case. Kurt opens up with this. He says, Whitten is the best in the business for a true work of art. JB is okay, but put them side by side and they are simply not in the same class. So I know what he means. Whitten is a very elegant case. I'm sitting in a Mercedes right now, and I've got stitching, across the dash and here, and it's just nice. It just has a nice, elegant feel to it. And every time I look at it, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy seeing the stitching go across. I look at that, and Whitten builds one style of case, one style. They build a tube case, and that's it. So I've never seen them build a different kind of case. Now, Jill Whitten, she builds pretty nice gun cases. She builds a nice kind of fold over butterfly style gun case, just for like pistols and things like that. I've never seen them build a longer one. Now, I will say that if Whitten wanted to build a butterfly case, they would build an awesome butterfly case, in my opinion, But they specialize in one type of case, and it's a tube case, opens at the top, has very limited choices for pockets. Don't know if they have a jump cue sleeve in there or not. I imagine they probably do, or they can put one in. But they have very few kind of custom options. What they really excel at, though, is they make just an incredibly good looking case. I call it the Jaguar of cases. If you can think of like the most, remember how we all felt when we first saw a Jaguar car? Just those lines and that long, clean lines, just a beautiful car. So I call Whitten cases, in my opinion, like the Jaguar of Q cases. Just everything just fits perfect. I mean, they are incredibly beautiful. But they are not the best in the business for a true work of art, in my opinion. They are a pull cue case that is done extremely nicely. They put together leathers and they put together stitching combinations and stuff that just, I mean, they really just do really shine, I'll tell you a quick story. Way back when I had my other company, InStroke, I made a card. I've always been a little bit overconfident maybe, okay? About the stuff we make. So I made a card, and on the back of the card I said, when it comes to Q cases, InStroke cases can give every other case maker the 6 out in the brakes, or the 5 out in the brakes, I think I said, and we have the lockdown Hungarian nuts. So that was a gambling term, that we used to use to mean that when we got into a game and there was just no possible way to lose, we called it having the nuts. And when there's just zero chance that you're going to lose, it's called, and I don't know why it's called this, right? But that people just said it in the pool room. It's called having the lockdown royal Hungarian nuts. Like you got the king's nuts in your hands, right? So, a little bit vulgar, but it was funny. And I thought that was cool to put it on the card. And I handed that card out to everyone, and then people would chuckle, when they see it. And I did that until I went to the US Open and I met Dan Whitten at the US Open. And I handed him my card, and he turned it over and he kind of chuckled. And I looked at his cases and I was like, well, I used to think this was right, but I see your cases now, and there is no chance that we have the nuts when we go up, if we go up against you. So, I was recognizing the beauty and the skill that goes into Whitten cases. And they're just fantastic. So I went back and I took all my cards and I tore them up, and I was actually embarrassed by it, because, I was in my mid-20s then, and just I thought that I knew everything. But anyway, Dan Whitten and his son Joe now, they just build fantastic looking cases, but they have one style. Okay, so if you like that style of case and you like the construction of it, then yes, it is truly a nice piece of leather working, and I'm even going to say it's a piece of leather art, in a way, because it takes, in my opinion, it's harder to build a Q case than most other leather items, most other leather goods that you see, most other types of cases that fit things. Let's call it rifle scabbards or whatever. It's harder to build a pool Q case the way that Whitten builds it and the way that we build it than most other leather goods. So a lot of other leather workers won't even touch the type of stuff that we do, that Whitten does. They won't even get involved in that kind of construction. So they may build a Q case or something, but they'll do it with like old world leatherworking methods, that they've known for hundreds of years. And then a lot of times, they'll build a really nice case and an adequate case. But the construction methods that Whitten uses, the methods that we use, most leather workers don't want to get into that, and new case makers very rarely do either. But having said that, there's a lot of great case makers out there now, that are specialists, and they're doing good work. But let's get back to Whitten, okay? So, as I said, Whitten builds a great case, but I don't think that they are a better case than what we make. I think that on average, their stitching is nicer than ours. That's not to say that all of their stitching is nicer or all of our stitching is worse. Once in a while, we'll make a mistake here and there with the stitching, and they never do. At least I might have found like one stitch out of place on a Whitten case over all the years that I've handled them. And by the way, just to preface this, I've taken Whitten cases apart. I've rebuilt them. I have repaired them for people. So I know exactly how a Whitten case is built from the entire way, from nothing all the way to a completed case. And that's one of the hallmarks of JB Cases, is that I do dissect cases, and I do take them apart because I want to understand how they're built. And frankly, I want to understand if they're doing anything that I should be doing. My job is to give the customer the best case that I possibly can. And if someone else is already doing something that I feel like is better than what we're doing, that is the better solution for the customer, then I'm going to incorporate that if I'm allowed to. If it's not patented, which nothing in cases is, then I will take it and I will put it in. And I will also give credit where I got it. So if Whitten does anything that I think is worth copying or worth taking and modifying or innovating, building on, then I will take it and I will give Whitten credit, and I will say, this is where I got it, the inspiration, these guys are great, and this is my version, and this is what we do. And I've done that all my career. So I've been making cases, for those of you watching, for 31 years now. I take that back. I had a 4-year break. I had a 4-year break where I didn't make cases. I sold one company, took a break, and then got the itch to make cases again back in 2008, or actually 2007. And so I started making cases again, and here we are 15 years later, and JB Cases is what exists. So we've grown up. I started in my apartment, just to kind of give you a little bit of background. I cleared out my living room when I was living in China. My girlfriend's mom, who is now that was about to sound weird. I was about to say my girlfriend's mom, who is now my wife, but my girlfriend, who is now my wife, her mother helped me. She is a seamstress, and she helped me to buy the first sewing machine that we needed, and she helped me to get back into it and start making cases again. And we hired some more people, and basically from that little 3-person operation in my living room, we've grown to have a workshop with about, we average about 25 people, and we handle about 200 cases at any given time. So our orders kind of stay right around 200 cases with a 12 to 16 week backlog. That's about where we're at right now. So, but that's our operation, right? So we have literally a workshop, and it is an oversized workshop. I wouldn't call it a factory. There's no assembly line. But you know, I mean, I guess if you looked at it like what is a factory, if it's a place with a lot of machinery and a lot of people working at different stations doing something, then we would be a factory. But in no way, shape, or form are we anywhere like an assembly line. Every single case that we make is hand walked from order all the way to finishing. Just like, I mean, it's just like if we were a 3-person operation or a 2-person operation, the methods of making the cases would be essentially the same. So, you know, there's a lot of handwork and a lot of hand stitching. Actually, in our cases, there's a lot more hand stitching than there are in most of our competitors' work, in my opinion. But anyway, you know, I continue to digress. So Whitten, as I said, you know, they're very, very good. They are absolutely the best at the style of case that they make, in my opinion. You know, so if I were going to make a case that were 100% copy of a Whitten, from the construction style and everything, I don't think that on average that we would be able to make it as nicely as they do. I just don't think that we're geared that way. And I don't know who does the sewing. I don't know if Joe does it or Jill does it, or if they have workers. I don't know if they have staff. But whoever's doing the work there, they are very meticulous. They are as good as any high-end brand that you know of. Louis Vuitton, in my opinion, Louis, or you talk about Hermes from Paris, you know, and I've studied a lot of those high-end bags. I've been commissioned to make high-end cases that emulate those bags. So I had to study them, and I had to go look, and what I found is those brand names, people tend to think about them and like they say, oh, that's just, you know, that's just made overseas somewhere or whatever, and you're just paying for the name. No, actually, in a lot of those cases, you are paying for the craftsmanship. You're paying for the meticulous work that they do. Hermes, for example, you have to apprentice for a year or two before they ever let you work on a bag that is intended to be sold. So you don't even get to work on anything that's intended to be sold until you've shown mastery of like every aspect of that, of making that bag. And they have bespoke shops where they're making bags for $25,000, $30,000. So, they have a long over 100-year history, and so do a lot of the other big luxury brands. And most of them started out making luggage. So there's actually a lot of history behind those brands, and where I used to think, maybe they're overpriced or now that I've studied them, a lot of them really do earn, they earn, I don't know if they're worth, if a bag is worth, say, $2,000, but the craftsmanship in it is definitely there. So, and that's not to say that someone else can't do it better or make a better version of it. There's always, in every bag, there's always room for improvement, including Whitten, including us, and everybody like that. So let's not get twisted and think that there's something that's absolutely perfect, because there's just simply not. So, having said all of that, let's continue on and say, this is where I think we need to speak whether something is objective or subjective. So Kurt says, for a true work of art, right? Well, what is art? Art is subjective, right? So in my opinion, you're not buying a pool cue case for the art. Or you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be buying a case just because it looks good to you. The first thing that a pool cue case should do is truly protect your gear. So you think about it, right? All of in all the hobbies that we have and all of the professions that we have, every time that you have high-end gear that is fragile, it is protected in a padded case. Most of the time it's a form-fitted case. that has slots just exactly cut out for that device so that it cannot move and it's well cushioned. And the very best cases in every field are like that, except for pool. Okay? I say that. I should say it differently. In my opinion, even in pool, the very best cases are the padded ones. But pool has a problem. Pool has a long object, cylindrical object, that is tapered, and people like to put that object into a slot. So they like to stuff it into a long tube or a long cavity, and cues have different diameters. They have different types of wraps. The wraps can be sticky nowadays. They can be, leather, bumpy, prickly, especially like elephant skin, for example. That's very grabby, so it likes to grab onto fabric. So it's very difficult, for example, to make a case that is padded, but will accommodate just about any type of cue. So usually a lot of the case makers in the past have had to sacrifice the padding. So one thing about InStroke, that was my former brand. The reason that case came about is because I had a case, a different case, not a Whitten, but a different leather case, before I made cases, and the interior was not padded. So there was fabric, but there wasn't anything to hold the cue inside of it. So the case got inverted because I was careless, and it broke the cue. So the cue shot out of it and it broke. So I decided I was going to figure out a way to put padding in this case so that it would stay inside. Now, the previous case I had before that, that leather case was a Joe Porper case. And Joe Porper used to call the cases a protect a cue case. That's what it was called. Protect-AQ case. And the defining feature of the Porper was that it would, I'm going to roll the window down a little bit here. It's hot. There we go. So the defining feature of the Porper was that it would hold the cue inside, and you could turn the case over and the cue wouldn't come out, and actually it turned out that the cue was wedged inside, and over time the cue would just continue to go further and further in by pushing out the foam rubber that was in there, and it would wedge tighter and tighter. So then you'd get to a point where you had to kind of beat on the end of the case to get it to dislodge. So the idea was great from Porper, but the execution was a bit lacking in that sense. But they were new. They were new on the scene. They were the first ones that did it. Actually, Mucci was the first ones that kind of came up with that. And then Porper took that idea and ran with it. And so the first case I had like that was a Porper. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to take that leather case, take it apart, and rebuild it so that it worked like the Porper case, but better. I wanted to fix that issue so that the cues would be easy to take out. But if you inverted the case, the cues would stay inside. So basically the cues don't move until the owner puts his hands on them and touches them and pulls them out of the case. And that's what I did. So I rebuilt that case, and it worked. And I thought to myself, what if I build the whole case then? Now that I've rebuilt this interior, what if I make the case all the way around? Because I only bought that leather case because I was just trying to be cool. My friend brought a bunch of them back that he had purchased to resell, and I thought, oh, those are cool. And so I bought one. I wanted to be one of the cool kids. And I was for a while because people, no one else around me had that case. And so I was admired, and, people liked it. I think it inspired a few people to start making cases. But I was not happy after my cue broke because it fell out of it. So I rebuilt it. And I thought, that's not really my style. That's not kind of what turns me on. So let me see if I can make the whole case and build it around the interior. So that's what I did. I created a new interior, and then I started working on how to build a case around that, and that became InStroke Cases. And then in 2013, I sold InStroke, and I took a break, and then I started JB Cases. Well, the thing with that is that my entry into case making was totally 100% inspired by trying to protect the queue. Now that sounds, like duh, of course people are trying to protect the queue, but actually that's not it, because a lot of case makers that are, famous, they build cases that hold queues, but those cases don't necessarily protect the queue very well. So what I mean by that is that obviously the inversion, if the case gets tipped over when it's open, the queues will fall out, which, that's bad, especially if you're anywhere where the queue can hit something or crack a part of the queue, which has happened, bend the pin, for example. And then the other thing is that some of these cases allow the queues to bang against the sidewalls of the cavities that they're in, or of the tubes, or some of them allow the queues to even bang against each other. And there's just a lot of movement happening inside the case. So you imagine like you're driving down the road and you hit a speed bump, right? And you hit a pretty jarring bump. Like sometimes you can hit a speed bump or a pothole and you feel it all the way in your bones. You know that you hit something. Well, imagine that your case is in the back seat or in the back, in not even on a cushion, and it's bouncing like this. Well, the queue inside of it is going like this. I mean, it's really just hitting the sidewalls really quickly. So if I use this pen to illustrate it, this is what you're looking at, and queues, as you know, I wish I had a little queue to show you guys here, but queues, as you know, have a joint. They have several different joint areas, and it's a thin piece of wood, relatively thin for woodworking purposes, with a lot of parts put together. So anytime that this thing gets stress, you're running the risk of cracking all these little parts and you're getting inside. So you're breaking the bonds that hold the queue together, and you can get buzzes. You can get weird stuff. The queue can get warped. It can break the glue bond, or break the finish bond, so that now moisture can get inside and start working on the interior fibers of your wood. So there's a lot of little things that can happen when a queue gets constantly beat up, so to speak, with every bump in the road. So my job as a case maker, I feel, is to build the case from the inside out. You start with the queue and you layer on protection, and then you build the case around it. So this is where this is important, because once I've got that interior to be really protective, that is the case. That's the case part of the case. Everything else around that is decoration and practicality. So you want pockets? Great. What size pockets do you want? What do those pockets need to hold? Are you highly organized, or do you just throw everything in the pocket? So we've got solutions for both. The handles need to be comfortable, and they need to be durable, and all the attachment points need to be durable. The shoulder pad needs to be non-slip. You put it on, you don't want to walk around all day hunching your shoulders up and holding it on. You see people like this walking around holding their stuff to keep their queue on their shoulder, because it wants to keep falling off, because the case is not built correctly to stay on your shoulder, and this is what a lot of these case makers, they don't pay attention to this stuff, and a lot of these guys are small. They've settled on a way they want to build something. They're not into research and development. They're not into looking for better solutions in bigger industries. So I look towards the backpack industry. I look towards the mail carrier industry. I look for every industry where people are making bags that they hold on their shoulders, for what do they do that makes life easier for their customers, that makes it feel more comfortable, less apt to hurt them, less apt to fall off their shoulder, and so on. That's how I'm wired. That's what I look at. So I don't mind borrowing techniques from other industries, billion-dollar companies that have got, big research and development departments, and they're able to look for new materials, new methods, things like that. I study that all the time. So all of that is what has gone into making JB Cases, and JB Cases is a never-ending series of innovations. So the case that you get today is better than the case that we built 5 years ago. And the case that we built 5 years ago is better than the one we built 10 years or 5 years before that, and so on. The case that we give you today is better than the case we made last week. And that's what JB Cases is all about. So, when you talk about Whitten is the case you get today is exactly as good as the case you got last week, and it's exactly as good as the case you got a year ago, and exactly as good as the case they made 5 years ago. So they are incredibly consistent at what they do. And again, they are incredibly good at what they do. So if that's the style of case that you like, then you can definitely count on getting a fantastic piece of work from them that will be as good. You don't have to worry about it being any worse than anything they've ever built otherwise, right? In my opinion. So they've got their technique and their style down 100% perfectly. And there's a lot of guys out there, there's a lot of people out there that actually try to copy them one for one, and some of them have done a fair job of it. But when you put those cases side by side, which one the Whitten is, even though they look very, very similar, when you start to look closer, you can see the differences. It's kind of like a fake Gucci bag versus a real Gucci bag, or a fake Coach, real Coach, or a fake LV, real LV. There are out there in the world literally one-to-one copies of high-end luxury bags. We call those 1A knockoffs. And honestly, those 1A knockoffs, there are very few experts in the world that can really tell the difference, and they kind of have to dig real deep in the bag to see that. Even the people at the luxury houses have a hard time to tell which one is real. But those bags themselves are, like, you can get a 1A knockoff of a Louis Vuitton, for example, that might cost you, the original bag cost you like $2,000. The knockoff might cost you $1,000, because there's just no way around the work. If they want it to be one-to-one, they've got to put in the work and get it really close. So the labor is still going to be cheaper, but it's still going to be a lot of labor. So just letting you know that really exists in the world. These 1A knockoffs, but these are not the ones that you see normally. Like, you're not going to find those on Canal Street in New York City, unless someone takes you down a back alley and into a secret doorway, which, by the way, that's not exaggeration. That literally exists. But if you're just a tourist in New York City, and you don't know what to say to the right vendors, you're not going to ever see those 1A knockoffs. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that there are knockoffs of Whitten out there. Some of them are just very nice, but in my opinion, there's no 1A knockoffs of Whitten out there. So you can definitely see, if you have an original Whitten and you have the knockoff, you can find pretty quickly the differences. Even though both are beautiful, but one is perfect in the sense of how Whitten builds cases, and one is not perfect but looks like a Whitten. And that's Whitten, right? That's it. They build one style. We build a broad range of styles. We build butterfly cases that open up like this. We build butterfly cases that open at the top and like this. We build hard tube cases, so shells like this they're engineered for strength and durability, and we can put padded interiors in there that are flexible enough to accommodate different sizes of cues and protect the contents, so the contents can't rattle, they don't hit each other, they don't move, there's no excess movement. So you could literally like strap it to your roof, and you don't even have to strap it down, but you could strap it to your roof, and every bump that you hit, your cues are just going to be silent in the case. They're not moving, you know? They're not going to be banging against the side of the case. They're not going to be banging against each other. They're not going to be rubbing by sliding back and forth. And that's important, you know? That is the case part of the case. So I understand he said work of art, and he may see the Whitten as a work of art, as a thing of beauty, which it is. And it's even okay to call it a true work of art if you want, right? But when you say that Whitten is a true work of art, and you say JB is okay, then you're implying that the JB case is itself not a work of art, or not a true work of art, like it's a fake work of art in some way. You see what I'm saying? This is a subjective opinion, but if a Whitten case can be seen as a work of art, so to speak, then why can't a JB case be seen as a work of art? You know, if we're talking about the beauty and the aesthetics of the case. Because I feel like that JB Cases builds incredibly beautiful cases. We have built some of the world's most fantastic cases in terms of just pure beauty. Now, of course, I'm biased when I say that, but I mean, you can find plenty of people out there who agree. You know, the customers who buy from us, who spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 with us, you know? And believe me, if you buy a case from me for $2,000, you're going to get so much in that case that you can't believe it. You know, so much work, so much more work, by the way, than you would get with a Whitten. And it just won't even be close, you know? So when we're talking about what goes into making the case, you get more hours, you get more time, you get more ability to get exactly what you want. You can go to our gallery online. So anyway, let me get back into this, okay? Bill says, well said. I said, JB cases are the best for custom work. Our protection is the best in the business, and the range of custom choices is far wider than any of our competitors, all backed with a lifetime warranty. That's important, right? So you remember earlier when I told you that the case that we build today is better than the one we built 5 years ago, better than 10 years ago, better than last week. This is important because we don't always make things, you know, I make things that I think are really good and really durable, but it may turn out that that part of the case, that some part of the case doesn't hold up as well as I thought it would. So when something breaks that I feel like when I built it, it shouldn't break under normal use, then you as the owner of the case are not sitting there with a broken case that you cannot use, you know? I mean, obviously you can't use it, but you didn't make an investment that is now gone because the case is broken, because it's not useful to you anymore. Because if I told you that some part of my case was strong and durable and wouldn't break under normal use, and it does, then I'm going to fix that. And if I fix it, I'm going to bring it up to modern standards and make it so that it is durable. So what has happened in the past is when we've gotten something in like that, then if I thought that the situation was something that was not a fluke, in other words, we didn't just have a bad sewing day or something, or somebody had a brain fart, if I think that we need to improve that area, then we improve it. And the very next cases that come off of our workbench are better. That area of the case has been improved. So the need for making warranty claims goes down on that area of the case from that moment on. So everyone before that, right, might have the problem or they might not, you know. But if they do, they're covered. And then we bring it into the modern era. And if it's something that I can't fix or I don't want to fix, then I'll just build a brand new case, and then they get the benefit of every part of their case being done to the latest standard. So that's important, you know, when you're talking about Q cases. It's not just about the beauty. It's about what does the case do? You know, what does the case part of the case do? And so, you know, around that core, we can build any beautiful case that you want. You know, anything that you think is beautiful, we can do it. We can decorate it any way you want it to be. We can do inlays the way that Whitten does them. We've done them plenty. I've done them. I feel like that we've done them a lot of times better than Whitten has done them. But you can find those examples on our website. You know, so this is not, the way I feel about it is there's nothing that any other case maker does that we can't do. There are things that they do that I won't do. For example, you know, I won't put out a model that's a 1-to-1 copy of a Whitten, even though we could do it. And even though our 1-to-1 copy would be, in my opinion, would be functionally better than a Whitten case. Well, I guess it would be the same if it was a 1-to-1 copy, but you know, I just feel like that I would be compelled to do something better on that case. Let's say, for example, I built on the exterior of the case, I could build a 1-to-1 copy of a Whitten, or almost 1-to-1. I would have to do a few little different techniques, but from the appearance, it would be extremely close to a Whitten. And then I feel like it would be a better case because of our protection and our durability and the way that we do things. You know, so that's how I feel about it. So that's the objective part of it, right? The subjective part of it is the art, is the beauty. And yes, if someone looks at a Whitten case and that's the thing that turns them on, then yes, they have every right in the world to say this is a true work of art and it's the best. But they don't have a right to imply that JB cases are not a true work of art, you know, or to imply that JB cases are not on Whitten's level of art, you know, so to speak. Because, you know, first, art is subjective, but if you tried to break it down and say, what is it that you like? Do you like clean lines? We have clean lines. Do you like nice stitching? We have nice stitching. You know, do you like elegant leather? We have elegant leather. So what is it then that makes it better? You know, makes it a true work of art versus ours, which is not a true work of art. You see what I mean? So when you want to use the word true, this is how I use the word true. I use the word true like this. JB cases are true protection. JB cases are, excuse me, and it's important on this order, right? JB cases have true protection. JB cases have true durability. JB cases have true comfort. Very important. And JB cases have true custom options. So the customizing is just, it's crazy. There's no one that's close to us in terms of how to customize a case. All right, there are some that have a lot of choices, but no one is close to us when you start to list them. So now, all of that is backed by a true lifetime warranty. So nobody touches us on that, you know. I've heard that, you know, a few case makers have said, yeah, we have a lifetime warranty, but they don't advertise it like we do. So I don't know how valid that is. I don't know how much that is actually true. But my thought is that if you build it super solid and durable like we do, you should have no problem giving up a lifetime warranty on it and proudly stating that. But anyway, you know, that's another thing. So that's where I'm at. So let's take a look here and see some things here, right? So, you know, Michael says JB Cases is the man. Bill says Joe Whitten is the man, right? So now we got a little competition going here between the posters, right? Classy and extremely durable. It will last a lifetime. I would recommend a 2.4. I'm not sure what your price point is. I can promise you if you order one, you will not be disappointed. So again, this is all opinion, right? And I'm sure, like I said, if you like the style of Whitten, then yes, you wouldn't be disappointed, right? They build a good case. But if you only ordered a Whitten and you never saw our case, then once you saw somebody with one of our cases and what it can do and how it protects, you might be disappointed, you know? You might say, well, geez, my Whitten is really nice. It's really awesome, but I wish that my Whitten could do what a JB case does. I wish that my Whitten would stay on my shoulder the way that a JB case does. I wish that my Whitten's handles were as comfortable as the JB case's handles are. I wish that my Whitten wouldn't slide down whenever it's placed at an angle and fall down on the floor. I wish that my Whitten wouldn't let my cues rattle around when I'm driving in the car, because I can hear them. You know, that's the kind of things you might say to yourself once you actually compare a JB case to a Whitten case side by side. So I hope this is all recording still, because I'm gonna, you know, this app is really shitty. It doesn't show me whether it's still recording, but I want to show you guys something. These are some pictures that I took. All right, here we go. Let's see. So let's take a look, right? This case here, for example, let's look, right? So this is my current case, right? It's blue oil tan leather. This is a really shitty picture, so I'll move on. This case here, this is crocodile print, an oil tan print. You know, look at this leather. Look at the stitching on here. I don't find anything about that right there that has to take a back seat to anyone. You know, look at this. Look how beautiful this is. And the thing is I can't really convey to you the beauty of this case. You have to feel it. But this case here is embossed cowhide made to feel like crocodile. It's got a kind of a waxy oil tan feel to it. It's beautiful, the leather. And then all the black leather that you see here, this is veg tan that's been dyed, but it's a soft veg tan, so it feels very supple. It's got what we call a good hand to it. This has a baseball stitch in the back here for the seam. This is a custom tag that we made. So normally we put the date on here. So the customer wanted this to say GG and 142. Don't ask me why, but that's what the customer wanted, so that's what we did. Normally we would put the date on there that the case was made, the month and year. But this customer knows exactly what he's got, so it's fine. But I mean, just look at our stitching here. And this is all hand stitched, by the way, that I'm showing you right there. You know, we don't do this with a machine stitch. That's the only way we can do this to really get it well. We hand stitch it right there. Same thing here with our D-ring right here. You know, we make the D-ring so that it pulls equally from both sides, so you don't have to worry about that tearing up. You know, it's true durability for all of our attachment points. We do the shoulder pads right here are non-slip, but importantly, you can move them wherever you want them to be. But look here. We put a snap down here at the bottom, so you can snap them so that it'll stay in place at the top position. But if you don't want that, you can unsnap it and you can move it to any position that you want. So you guys can see here, there's nothing about this case that in my mind is not beautiful and not, you know, a work of art, so to speak, as a case, right? Now we go to something like this, right? This is a different style of tube case. This has an extra long pocket, for example. It has a magnetic pocket on the top, you know, with we build these with, we put the magnets in. It's nicely tooled. It has these 90-degree corners. And then here I invented a way to bring the zippers around a box corner. So when I say box corner, I'm talking about, let me see if I can draw on this and show you. See if it'll do that. So this This is, hold on, I don't know if I can do my pen, but this is a 90-degree corner right here. So it means it's like a box. So typically when people build these types of cases, they used to not know how to come around the corner to make the pocket actually open up so it's useful. You used to have to kind of reach in and dig around in a very rigid pocket to get your stuff. Now the way that I build them, because I invented a technique to make the zipper come around, now it can work like a normal pocket and you can open it up and you can get into it. That's a practical thing that is very useful for customers. That other people who build this type of case, they typically don't do this. The only ones that do it are the ones that learned this technique from me. I put it out there for free. I gave it to everyone. I said, this is how we do it. I did a video tutorial and a pictorial, I can't even talk, a picture tutorial on leatherworking.net to show people how to do it. So there's a few people who do that. But yeah, so anyway, how can I clear this? Let's see. Okay. All right, so let's get out of that. But yeah, I mean, look at this case. It's so beautiful, you know, and this pocket is very long. This is at the customer's request because he has a particular jump cue that he wants to put in here. So, you know, what can you say about that? Now look at these. These are more in the $250, $300 budget, but you can't even get a Whitten case for this price on here. So are you saying these cases don't look good? You know, this person wanted a yin yang 9-ball with a purple border around it. They got it. They put our logo on here, which is not required, by the way. You can just do this for free, and we're grateful if you do it. But I mean, this is here down here at the bottom. Let's see if we can show it. It says "Never Give Up" down there, embroidered. We do embroidery. We do tooling leather. We mix media. You know, when we do it. You know, we've made cases out of jeans. We've made some of the most beautiful cases that exist in the world, and there is just no way that our cases shouldn't be considered true works of art, so to speak. Look at this one. I mean, just look at this leather. Look how nice that is. You know? I mean, I could go on and on with this. Here's another one. You know, look at the tooling. This is a magnetic lid right here. We have magnets built in around this oval so that embedded in the leather, engineered so it sucks it in and fits nicely and tightly. You can grab this case by the handle. You can grab this case by the handle up here and you can swing it around and you will not get that case to open. You'll feel like you're going to break your arm before that case opens. It won't open. You know, I've tested it a dozen ways. I've done it at shows. I've invited people to do it. Look at this. These are custom built envelopes, built in such a way that no one else has ever made one like this. But we did. And these are out of snakeskin. These are actually a print, but it feels like python. It feels just like python, and it's awesome, you know. And this is part of a larger project that I will be showing off later today. But it's just freaking awesome, you know. So let's, you know, we want to talk about like who does what and so on. But the fact of it is that we don't have to take a back seat to anyone. You know, first of all, we have a designer online right here. So you can go there and you can do so much customization, and you can get even for $150 or $200, you've got billions of color combination choices that you can get for $200. You can get a 2x2 case, basic, for, I want to say, between $180 and $220 or so, with just colors that can be customized, and you can put together color combinations that customize it for you that literally no one else does. So from a value standpoint, if you spend $100 with me or you spend $1,000 with me, you're getting the same protection. And the only difference is we'll build as much case around the interior as you want. You know, so I could talk about this forever, but look at our gallery. You know, you can go in our gallery and you can look at these cases that we've done in here, and there's nothing in here that has to take a backseat to any case maker ever, in my opinion. You know, the stuff we've done, I just can't stand it when people say things like, oh, well, that's a true work of art, with the implication that JB Cases are okay, but Whitten is in another level. That's just bullshit, okay? That opinion I don't agree with, and I think that I'm justified when I say that, because we've done cases that Whitten won't even try. You know, I say won't even try. You know, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from them, because I believe that you know, they are craftspeople. They're excellent. I imagine that if there's anything they put their mind to doing, anything that we do, they could probably do it if they wanted to, okay? But they specialize in their style, and so, you know, they just don't do it. So whatever the reason is, they don't do it, but we do. Okay, so let's be clear. Let's look at this one. Right? Let's take a look. This case is beautiful. Look at this inlaid top here. Look at this. This is inlaid and tooled into Napa leather with a lizard print on here, right? That's tooled and then colored, and then we have a double magnetic flap on the side here. There's our wraparound corner. I mean, look at this, you know? This is what we're talking about. Look at the back side of this. You guys see anything about this case that should take a backseat to anybody? Hand-built magnetic latches on the side. There we go. We got 2 of those. Look at this interior. This is actually even a custom interior. This is a 3x8 interior. So we took a 3x6 tube and we modified it on the interior because we're custom makers, and we made it to fit 3 butts and 8 shafts. That was on request. Now, if this customer ever decides they want to change, they can just pull the interior out, put a new interior in, and they've got a new interior. They can have a 3x6. We've done 2x4s in this with more padding. So, you know, I mean, this one we made it with extra. We made it with extra shoulder pads on here. So he's got a set of Tim Scruggs and Mike Cochran cues, and he's got a set of Olneys, and so he wanted to be able to change the straps for whichever cues he was carrying. So, you know, there's that. I mean, this is the type of custom that we do. But guys, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you know, I understand people's opinion. I just don't know why if they want to make a comparison to us, then every time I see that, I'm going to respond to it. You know, and I'm going to put out the challenge and say, no, Whitten is not better than us. They're not better than us as far as the beauty of a case. They're not better than us as far as the style of a case. They're certainly not better than us in protection. You know, but aesthetically, a person can have the opinion that they are better than us, but, you know, when it comes down to it, the only one time that we've had a real competition between us and Whitten, a group of guys got together and they were debating about what case is the best case. And according to the group, it came down to Whitten and JB Cases. And they agreed to to ask each maker to make a case worth $1,000. And then they'd put it up to the public to vote. And then whatever the public decided, that person would win both cases. So that's what happened, and we won. you know, pretty convincingly, actually. Jack Justice actually got mad, and he said that the contest was rigged, but it wasn't rigged. You know, the fact is the public voted. That's it. So, you know, there's so many things that we do here that we've done. Just look at all the different styles of leather cases that we do here. There's just, I mean, it just goes on. And this is like, we're like, you know, 2,000 cases behind at this point. This is like 400 cases. We're another 2,000 or 3,000 of these cases that we're behind. Look at this one. Look at this butterfly case and just look at how beautiful it is. Here, I want to see if let's see if I can make it a little brighter for you guys. But look at this. This is brass right here that we had a company laser cut for us and polish up, and we inlaid it using, this is a croc print with Napa leather, butterfly. Look at how elegant this is. Look at all the little touches that we do on here. You know, I mean, look at this, look. Isn't that cool? That's brass lettering that we custom made. Look at the inlay and the handle right here. And this case is butter soft. You know, when you touch it, it's just, the leather is just so beautiful. Look at this, just even on the seam, you know, we use the same material just to give it a little accent. So, you know, this is the kind of creativity and the art that we put into this. So I reject the idea that we have to take a backseat to Whitten in any way. I understand that it's a personal opinion, but there's just no way that you're going to win a bet with me if we have a neutral arbiter that is using a whole bunch of criteria, of important criteria to determine better. There's just no way that Whitten beats us. You know, they don't. The only chance they have to beat us is if we are tasked with making a case that looks exactly like a Whitten. They make one and we make one. Let's just say we use the same exact leather. That's the way they would beat us. As far as if you just judged it based on the look, I'm gonna say right now that probably our stitching in a few places is not going to be as good as a Whitten. Now, it will be if we take even more care. You know, so if we put our minds to it and we spend even more time on the case, then yeah, we could make one that has perfect stitching. But let's just say that we make one without being extra super careful, right? Just the way that we normally make cases. Then yes, you know, you'll probably find a few places where the stitching is not dead perfect like they would be on a Whitten, but that's about it. You know, functionally, the case would work the same. Aesthetically, it would look almost exactly the same, except for maybe a few small pieces. So if you're calling a Whitten case a true work of art, that would make ours a true work of art as well. Just not a work of art that is as well done on a very small part of the case. That's a non-functional part of the case. But how could you say that it's not? So if that's a work of art, why are these not true works of art that we're doing? So you guys can tell how defensive I am about this and how, you know, uptight it makes me, but I think it's with good reason. So I've talked for an hour now, so I just invite you guys to take a look at our website. Look at this case right here. No, not this one. This one's awesome. But here's one. This is my favorite, right? One of my favorites is called Snap the Music in here. Look at this case. Let me get to it. You can find so many different techniques and so many different styles in here. Look at this one. Here it is. Come back. Shotgun. Sugar Tree, Ryan, okay. This one here is really great. I mean, well, here's two great ones. Look at this. Just look at this case, guys, and just really get a feel for it, you know? Let me scroll through here so you guys can see it. I mean, just look what we did. This is a beautiful Napa leather here that we combined with a veg tan to give it kind of a setting sun scene going on there with the cactus. I mean, this is a 3x4 beautiful case. That doesn't have to take a backseat to anybody. You know it? But look at this. Look at this one. This is a suede right here with inlays of veg tan. See these inlays? This is the customer's logo. He's a DJ. And we inlaid it into the case. This is an inlay windows of veg tan with just a little bit of accent tooling. That's the customer's photo, by the way, with a little bit of digital enhancement. So, you know, this is our crappy pictures. But look at that. That's a 2x4. I mean, so, you know, I mean, you guys can, you know, people can say whatever they want. But it's my opinion that like I said already 5 times, 7 times now, just don't put JB Cases in a box, all right? JB Cases are not just okay. JB Cases are a culmination of my thoughts from all the way back in 1991, where I wanted to build a really, truly protective case to protect what was important to me. And that was the cues that I invested in, the cues that I depended on when I went to tournaments and I'm competing and trying to win. You know, you don't want a buzz in your cue or a rattle or a chip or anything in there to just throw you off, you know? You want to be able to just pull your cue out and start playing and feel confident and not have any problem. You know, I'm going to give you an example of what this means, right? And then I'm going to finish up because I've already, you know, rambled on far enough. So any of you who made it this far, if you made it this far, right? And you comment in the video, if you made it this far and you make this comment, right? If you comment Jerry at this point in the video in the comments, I will go find every one of you who said it, the word Jerry. I'll give it a month, right? And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to look at this video. And if you just simply type the word Jerry, I will send, this is what I'm going to do for you guys, just for watching this whole video, okay? Lulu's going to kill me when I say this, right? But I will pick 10 random names out of the people who said the word Jerry at this point in the video, which is 1 minute and 13, so anywhere after this, right? So you'll have had to watch it all the way to here. If you put the word Jerry in the video, in the comments, then I will pick 10 of you, and I will send you a free JB Cases hat. We've got a whole bunch of cool hats that different colors and more that are coming. So I will send you a free hat as a reward for watching this far, okay? So I'll pick 10 people out of the people who said it. I'll give it a month. I'll have to set myself a reminder, but that's what we'll do. So, okay? So if you get a free hat at some point, you'll know that you were selected, okay? So this is the story. So one year, I'm out at the Super Billiards Expo, and my good friend Jerry Olivier wants to show me a particularly beautiful cue that he just did for a player that he sponsors, okay? So he takes me and we go over to where the player is at, and the player has a type of case where the cues are able to rattle around and slide. There's no padding. And the player picks the case up, and he's got to kind of tilt it a little bit to get the cues to start coming out so he can grab them, because he can't even reach in and grab it. And the cues just shoot out of the case, and he tries to grab it, but he doesn't get it. And everything in the case just clatters to the floor, including this brand new beautiful cue that Jerry had just given him a few hours earlier. And the cue gets a big chip in it. And I just looked at Jerry and I said, well, why didn't you give him a JB case to go with it? Because, you know, it seems senseless to build such a beautiful cue and then stick it in a case that allows the cue, for the opportunity for the cue to be harmed in such a manner, you know? So what we ended up doing was I took the guy over to our booth, and I got him, I hooked him up with a case, you know, as a favor to Jerry. Jerry took care of me later on that, and we got the guy a brand new case as well, so that wouldn't happen to him anymore. So that now he doesn't have to turn his case over to try to get the cues out. He can just reach in and pull them out easily. But if the case does get inverted, the cues just stay in place. They don't go anywhere. So that's what I'm going to finish with. So comment Jerry after this, and I'll pick 10 of you. Hopefully there's more than 10 of you that say that, but if there's only 10, then you're the only 10 that get it, and you'll get a free JB case hat for your effort. Okay? All right, so I'm going to put a little teaser in there. Actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to put a teaser in the chat. I'm just going to see who watches all the way to the end. I suspect it will be very few people, but for those people who did, you're going to get rewarded. All right? And just remember, this is my opinion. My opinion is based on my research and my development, and just my 30 years of building cases and continually trying to improve what we do. So Jill Whitten, I love you. You guys are, you know, I've often said, you know, when I grow up, I hope I build a case as nice as a Whitten. You know, and I say that tongue in cheek, but I also mean it sincerely, because you guys are the best at what you do. For the style of case that you guys have committed to and chosen to make, you are the very best at that. The case is beautiful. A Whitten case is a true work of art. And a JB case is also beautiful and is also a true work of art. And when you put them side by side, you are correct, Kurt, that they are not in the same class, because Whitten has their own style, and in that style, they are the best in the world at that style. The JB case spans a whole lot of styles, and we are the best in the world at the whole package. Protection, durability, comfort, customizing, custom options, true lifetime warranty. That's JB Cases. Thank you guys. Take care. So are we done with the recording?